So the agenda tonight, we're going to welcome one of the new trustees, elect officers for this next year, authorize the vouchers, review and approve the meeting minutes. I have vouchers twice. Authorize signers. We need to set up who the signers are for this year. And then deal with the monthly vouchers and the monthly financial report. We'll go over the director's report. Leanne's here to discuss the summer reading program, and Elise is here to give us an update on the Friends of the Library and anything that isn't anticipated or if anybody is joining us. Any changes, updates to the agenda? All right, so I will.
I didn't bring any paperwork because I just decided the last thing to come down. In the old days, you had paperwork for us, but I don't know about now. So
I can share mine.
Okay.
That's like the financial report.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if there are no changes, I guess we can approve the agenda by unanimous consent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Welcome, Joe. You're next.
Thank you.
Agenda.
I didn't realize we could actually come in as well. I'm sorry. I thought everybody was doing Zoom. That's great. I'll come in next time.
So why don't you just take a minute to tell us about yourself? I don't know anything about you. I did learn one thing because of the conflict of interest training, but
yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Okay. Joe Poirier, lifelong resident of Upton. Married to my wife, Carrie. I have two kids. One is 13 and one is 11, Ryan and Kenley. And the other reason I'm calling it from Zoom is I had to help my daughter. She has a playoff game tonight. So over in Mendon working on the field. So sorry about that. The reason I wanted to go for the recreation board, though, is I think as some of you might remember, George Klink was my godfather, and he was a big fan of the library, and the library was very good to him over all the years that he was down there. So we really appreciate that. And he used to talk about John Robertson all the time and how he helped John to try to get John to get on the board. So John was a great guy as well. So just always had a lot of respect for both of them. So I thought this might be an opportunity to try to jump back in a little bit and help out the town in some way that I can, besides just the sports that I've been doing lately.
Okay. All right.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
We were on the board with Jules for a very long time, and he was a wonderful guy, and we missed him and really enjoyed being with him on the board many, many, many years.
Oh, thank you very much.
I was very fond of George and John, of course, but George talked about Joey all the time. He was very, very proud of you. So
thank you.
This is very nice that you're kind of completing that circle. Very, very nice.
Yeah, he would have definitely been here tonight watching the games, that's for sure. And I got to say, too, Rose, up in heaven, Rose is thanking you, too, for all those nights that he was down there and every day that he was down in the library. Gave her a little time, you know.
We introduce ourselves.
That's funny.
Sure.
Okay.
So I guess we're going to introduce ourselves to you, too, since we don't have names like we would at home. So I'm Lori Waters.
And I'm Tam Johnson.
I'm Charlotte Cohen.
Lydia Morelli.
Bill Taylor.
And we've got Leanne Murphy, who's, you can see me, or you might not be able to see her, I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, I see it. Yes, the small screen. Who's our children's librarian? And Elisa Burnett. Yeah. Who's the president of the Friends of the Library. And Dominique, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I can't be there. I just tested negative for the first day today. I had COVID. So, not yet. I do not yet believe those tests. So,
when did you test positive?
I tested positive. I got sick last Saturday, and I just tested negative for the first time this morning. So it's been a while, but I'm a bit paranoid right now. So.
Okay, we don't want you to.
Yeah, all right. That was a good decision.
Yes. Okay, so the first thing on our agenda is to elect officers. And Charlotte was nice enough to send me an email, so it would remind me of how we do that. So someone needs to make a motion to appoint Charlotte as chair pro tem for the purpose of conducting the election of officers. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move that we appoint Charlotte to be the chair pro tem of the library trustees while we elect officers.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
it's been moved and seconded. Dominique? Do
I
you- Okay. Bill?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Cam?
Aye.
Judith's not here, Alicia's not here. Charlotte?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And Joe, your first official vote.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Charlotte,
Okay, so I'll
it's your
just
meeting.
just for the chair. And then
I know.
It goes back to, or whoever becomes the chair. So now I will take nominations for the chair.
I nominate Deb Amorelli for chair.
I second. Debbie Morelli for chair.
Okay.
If she'll keep on doing it for us.
Sure. Yes.
Are there any other nominations?
Yes.
Okay, not hearing any, I'll close the nominations. And now we will make a motion to vote Deb as the chairman for this coming year. Someone want to make that motion? It's hard for me to write and say it.
I move that we vote for the office of
Vote,
chair
right,
of the library trustees for
Okay.
this coming year.
second. This is Dominique.
Okay. Oh, you're still there. Sorry, you're still boss.
Okay,
Go.
yeah. Okay, so now I will take your votes. Starting with Bill,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and Dominique.
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations, Deb. You have been elected as the chair for the
Thank you.
coming year.
Thanks
No.
a lot, Deb, for
Okay.
doing this for us. You
Yeah.
do it so
You're
well.
welcome.
Did we get to meeting back to her now?
I'm giving the meeting back to you.
And then we
Then
make a
you
nomination for
Yeah.
vice chair.
Yeah.
Right. So Bill was the vice chair last year. Any nominations for vice chair this year?
I nominate Bill to be vice chair.
I second that nomination of having Bill be vice chair.
Are you willing to accept?
Yes, I accept.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. We will take a vote. Dominique?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Charlotte?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
We have to elect you clerk too, right?
Well, to be nominated for.
Well, yes. Who wants to do the minutes, right? You sure you don't want to give it up?
In the groove.
The 25-year groove.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone want to make a nomination for clerk?
I nominate
Go.
Charlotte to be clerk.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Oh, all right. We will take a vote. Dominique?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Charlotte?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right.
Well, when did you change from secretary to clerk? I'm just checking, and it is clerk on the town's website. It always used to be secretary.
And no one told me, but I noticed a change on the town website, so that's why I changed it on my. in my-
As soon as they, and then
But no
they
one
had
told
to
me.
change selectmen to
Select
select
men.
committee, and then we're golden. So how soon before we do that? Every other town.
Well, he's not in
Select
charge of the
committee.
website.
I know.
I'll tell you what, because the only person who wants to change it on the board is the man, the women don't.
Huh?
So
Yeah.
go on.
They used
That
to
may
do it.
change, but that's what's been holding it up. Yep.
All right. Next, we need authorized signers for vouchers. Does someone want to make a nomination for,
Treasurer?
no, vouchers? authorization to sign for vouchers. That's not the treasurer, right?
We don't have a treasurer anymore.
Right, that's right.
Well, we did it for a while, but I didn't know if we maybe wanted to bring it back.
No, they serve
Signing.
essentially no function.
Right, there's no, they don't have any money.
I-
To pay them
To do what it can do.
So it was the
Not that
best job in
expensive.
the whole.
She's treasurer next to her name. So I think
Like I think
From
20,
you, I
25 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe they did more, but then the director has slowly taken over all of this one.
Right.
Right, so last year, Bill was the primary signer and I was a secondary signer. So do you want to, can we make a nomination for both, Charlotte, for primary and secondary?
Of course, yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
Sitting here for,
We want to keep it the same way as that would.
Has that worked out well for you guys?
I come to town hall on Friday anyway. to
Right.
drop off the DPW stuff, so it's
Okay.
extremely convenient.
Great.
Yeah, and then the secondary signer is just in case Bill is out of town or something like that.
right. Okay, so does someone want to make a nomination for our voucher signers?
I move that we nominate Bill as a primary signer of vouchers and Deb as a secondary signer of vouchers this year.
Second?
Second,
No? Any other nominations? All right, I'm gonna go backwards. Joe, we're gonna start with you.
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Tam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Bill,
aye,
Dominique,
Hi.
unanimous. Okay. The May 8th minutes. Has everyone read them and given their feedback to Charlotte? And does anybody have any feedback now for Charlotte?
My only feedback is I was very glad to have them because I didn't remember that we were going to meet down here. So I looked. Oh, so thank you.
No changes? All right.
so I move we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Any more discussion? Okay. Joe, you can approve the minutes even though you didn't attend the meeting, or you can just abstain. It's up to you.
Aye, sounds good.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Tam,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye,
and Dominique.
Hi.
Good. Finally, on to some business. Oh, or you can sit over here so you can't see him.
I
Either way.
usually close it during story time. So.
Yeah.
Something like to okay.
Okay, the vouchers. Matthew, you wanted to explain the vouchers. I know we only have one new member, but
I did, and that's what I'm kind of wondering, is maybe
do you want to wait?
if Joe's okay, just sort of blindly approving the process, maybe we wait until both of you trustees. I would like to take 1 month and kind of go through them in a little more detail because
Okay,
the first time you see them, it's a little bit like, what the
Okay.
heck is this?
that's fine. And Joe, again, you can abstain if you want, since you haven't had an explanation. Have you read them? Have you seen them, Matthew's email?
The meeting minutes, I'm sorry, or the,
No, the vouchers.
oh, I'm sorry, no, I did not.
Okay, all right, so
bad,
you probably should. No, that's okay. So we'll, you'll abstain, right?
Yes. I'm sorry,
So just quickly, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but the process for the town to pay bills is I order stuff or purchase services, I get invoices, then I have to put them on a form that the town accountant puts out and bring it to the trustees to approve. So at every monthly meeting, I send out a scan of all these documents. Usually there's 6, there happens to be 9 this month. But it has a cover page with the amounts, and then it actually, if you want to look at them, it has every single invoice that we're actually paying. And then the trustees approve them at this meeting, and then they get signed and turned into the town accountant, who reviews them, and then he sends them to the town treasurer to actually mail out a check. So this is just a monthly thing we do that pays for all the bills that we've incurred over the previous month. And when we get a chance, when both the new trustees are here, I can kind of walk through many of these are very repetitive every month. You know, we order books from the same place, we order audios from the same place, we pay the same performers. So usually the ones that are all similar, we just approve because they're regular business.
Mhm.
Sometimes there'll be one or another that is a little different that I'll spend a moment talking about.
And Joe, for the performers that do programs at the library, Matthew gets those checks and holds them until the performer performs and does whatever the program is. So the checks are held and payment doesn't go to that person until they've done the program.
Right, that's actually a town revenue regulation, is that we can't pay for anything we haven't received yet, which sometimes gets a little sticky when you have vendors that say, I'm not sending this thing until you pay me, and then we have to say, well, we can't pay you until we get the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, does someone want to make a motion on the vouchers, or does anybody have any questions for Matthew on the vouchers?
I was noticing, so in
That's the
May,
financials, though, not the
Oh.
vouchers. That's next.
I had a question on the, we often in June have to make, arrangements to sign before the year is out. We're gonna have to do that.
We are, I haven't even looked at when our July meeting is.
Well,
That's a good point, Charlotte.
yeah.
Um,
So the first is a Saturday, second.
So the
So it's
10th.
the 10th.
The 10th, July.
Yes, so, again, for Joe, so the town's fiscal year ends June 30th. So we have to have any bill that is dated in June has to be processed separately from anything that's dated in July. And the accountant usually wants those as early in July as possible. I will actually be gone the weekend of the 4th. So you know what, I mean, I could have things prepared and you guys could come in and sign them on like Thursday or Friday, but you know what? We're so close to Monday that let's just do it Monday. I know that the town accountant always asks for things earlier, but it's just not possible, right? If I get a bill June 30th, I can't turn it around within days. So let's just go ahead. We'll do all of our fiscal 23 vouchers at our regular meeting July 10th.
Okay.
And we will beg forgiveness from Kenny for them being a few days later than he would like. I think his deadline's probably going to be the 7th, and he's not going to be too upset if it comes in the 10th.
We usually go at least 3 weeks into July, because
Yeah, no,
you're not gonna get National Grid to act any faster.
They don't change their schedule for us. Okay, any other comments, questions about the vouchers?
we got a bunch of extra ones from Amazon. So we're still sort of cleaning up all the things we had to buy for
Mhm.
opening the community center. We've got a couple, like the computer that's running this meeting right now is on those vouchers. So we're cleaning up our Amazon account. I'm hoping to get back to only using our credit plan and not using the debit card. But that's why there's a few extras on there.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion? I'll jump on it next.
So I will we approve the vouchers as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Any more discussion on it? Okay, Dominique,
Hi.
Bill,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Sam,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Joe, okay, we've already established. Okay. And I'm an aye as well. All right. The monthly financial report.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen so I can put this document up. If I can do this correctly. I guess I share my whole screen. Then I can put this up. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. I should be sharing my screen to remote host. Why can't, oh, there it goes. Remote host can see it now.
Yes.
Let's see. I can't zoom this any. Let's see if I can zoom this at all. Probably not.
Do you want, maybe we can make copies of this? Because you guys need copies, right?
Yeah.
No,
Can you
I'll
build
just use them.
You can use the screen?
Use a large thing, it might,
But there is no, you can't enlarge on Teams. You can enlarge on Zoom.
Yeah.
Bill, do you need a copy?
read,
So I know I can read this one.
Okay, so
You can read that from there?
I am.
without even
My-
glasses.
My,
Oh, I can see it now.
do you have your eyes
Read it
done?
now.
No, but if I was standing close to it, I need glasses. It's the distance that's working for me.
That's great, so we can.
I have to have my cataracts done, so it's no use. No matter what, there's just nothing there for me.
I'll get rid of that. Yeah, that's nice. Trying to do Teams on 2 computers here. Let's see. All right, I guess that's as good as I can do.
Okay.
So, for Joe's benefit and everyone else, this is a report that I send out every month, which tracks our budget for the fiscal year and where we are and how much we've spent. This is purely for us to use internally. This is not the accountant's official, he keeps the actual records at the town hall. This is just me kind of tracking what I've spent. So I list our major accounts that the library trustees control on the side here. I put our initial appropriation, that's we started the fiscal year with, what we've used so far this year, this vouchers column. So the vouchers you guys just approved, that's how much is on them, the total we've expended, and then this ending balance. So we are coming to the end of our fiscal year. So you can see with these vouchers, we have spent our expense account all the way down to 0. That is our
So Bill doesn't need one.
basically our budget for the year that gets approved at town meeting. That's all our operating expenses. That's all materials we buy, programs we pay for, office supplies, crafting supplies, all those sorts of things are lumped into that. So what happens, I know it's a little scary to be at 0 and still have 3 more weeks to go in the fiscal year, but what happens is we get some money from the state. It's called the Municipal Equality Grant, which is this line down here. And when we appropriate our budget at the town meeting, we say, we're getting $10,000 from the state, so we're going to reduce our town appropriation by that much. So at the end of the fiscal year, we live off of our state aid. So any bills that come in between now and our next meeting are going to get paid from the state aid. The wages are at the top. We have a healthy balance on wages. We use about 4,000 to 4,500 a week at this point. So we've got only a few more weeks left. Any remaining wages gets turned back into the town's general fund. And the reason we have a balance there is we had a position that wasn't filled for the whole year, the digital resources specialist. Any of our non-benefited employees that take unpaid time off, that's just money that accumulates in there.
We had a whole year without the digital person?
Not a whole year, no,
Just a
but
little.
we had a couple months. So wages are fine. We never have a problem with wages. This is our revolving fund, which is money that we take in for photocopying or services or replacement books. I actually haven't spent any of that yet this year, so I may throw some materials and pay for them out of the revolving fund. The next batch of vouchers.
Those roll over though, right?
Yes, that's why we use the expense first, because if we have money left in expense at the end of the fiscal year, it goes back to the town general fund. Revolving fund we get to keep from year to year, and equality grants, state aid we keep from year to year. So the state aid, typically we're spending 8,000 to 10,000 a year. You can see we spent 22,000 so far. That's because the trustees approved a large chunk of sort of saved money to buy new equipment for the community center. And then the bottom part of this form, I break down, each individual category that we try to budget for. So we've got library materials. That's a very important one because one of our certification requirements is that we spent a certain amount on materials. So over the next couple of weeks, Leanne and we have about $3,000 more worth of materials we've got to spend.
It says 7,000.
So that's what's remaining in the appropriation. But if we use state aid to buy materials, so all the public computers we bought with state aid, those count as materials expense. Anything the Friends of the Library buy that circulates, so the museum passes, count as materials expense. So the amount that we appropriated for materials and the amount that we have to spend for certification don't always line up.
So what if we only going to spend 3,000 more this year? What happens to the 4,000 that's remaining?
The materials line item.
So basically, there is not 7,000 remaining anywhere, right? This is not
other people spent.
right. So this is our budget allocation, and it all goes into our expense account. So all these red negative numbers, like we overspent on materials processing and supplies and a chunk on programming. So all that's what the 7,000 got used for. So there was extra in one line item and we spent it on other line items.
Okay. Yeah.
So is the total of the remaining column now 0?
I'm hesitating on that because I'm not sure all these things are in the expense account.
Okay, got it.
I'm just checking to make sure. Yes, it should be, because I think all those things got spent with the expense account. But all that state aid stuff that we did totally messed up my budgeting, because some of that stuff didn't go in any column, and some of it was like we were ordering office supplies and then paying for them from the state aid instead of from the expense account. So luckily, this whole bottom portion is not. It doesn't appear at town meeting. It's not enforced by town meeting. It's kind of fungible. All we have to worry about is that once the expense account hits 0, we can't spend any. And then the revolving fund has just been income so far, and then we didn't do any passports this year, so that's why I kind of want to add this up to see if it was right, if this worked out to be 0.
Well, no, I can look at it and tell you it's more than.
It's not, because it's 7,000. The red things don't cancel out all the black things.
Are passports in
And I think there was something like
next year's budget?
Yes.
It's still
so
there.
we've been carrying these 2 line items in the town budget and not spending them.
Yep.
Until we're actually able to do passports. So that was a very quick overview of this budget account. And again, this is something I prepare for mostly so I can keep track of what I'm doing, but also to present to the trustees. So if there is anything, another format or a different number or something else you'd like to see, let me know, because I can change this report. It's not.
Do you ever reconcile your balances back to the general ledger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not every month, but quarterly or so.
Yeah.
I make sure that, and sometimes, I transposed a digit and, Kenny says I have 37 cents and I've got.
Or can you charge something to the account that you weren't expecting?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the revolving account revenue down here and the revolving account up here, and they're different, but I can see they're different from the stuff being appropriated. And balance is different.
So again, that when you get to the revolving fund revenue down here, so that's 750. That means January of 22, I projected that we would take in 750 because the town wants to see a projected revenue.
So you put that in the budget.
Right. And this revolving revenue shows up in the town meeting financial report, but it doesn't really affect our budget. It's not like, if we have all sorts of lost books paid for and all of a sudden we get $1,000 in the revolving fund, it doesn't change our appropriation. It used to. You remember? It used to, and it bugged me for years and years and years. And I always spent down the revolving fund because we had to credit it against next year's appropriation, which was crazy. But the FinCom finally changed that. So the important number here is that 557, that's how much we have taken in in cash, basically, or checks at the desk, and then we turn it over to the treasurer and it goes into the revolving fund. And that used to be much higher when we were charging for all sorts of services that we have since not charged for.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Matthew? Joe, do you have any questions since this is the first time you're seeing this report?
No, I'm fine. I actually, my background is in contracting, and I work for the state, so our fiscal year is June 30th too. So I know Matthew's going through. We're doing the same thing ourselves. So good luck to you.
That's right.
Went over in library books. That was so cool. We haven't used it also.
Right. Did you have any? I know, Laura, you had some questions. Were they answered?
I think so, yeah.
I actually think this is miraculous because of what you had to do to get into this building and the work that you had to do to put together. I think this is amazing.
Thank you. Well, the state aid helps a lot, and that's an advantage we have that a lot of other departments don't, is that we have that state aid fund, which is pretty much unrestricted and carries over from year to year.
That's
Lovely.
If we had some last minute June bill that came in the end of July, we could pay it from the state aid instead of going back to the town meeting.
Yeah, lovely.
And we're getting another 10 next year.
Yeah, approximately. We're up to 10 or 11,000 each year.
Okay.
And one smart thing we do, which predates me, so I can't take credit for it, but we spend last year's state aid.
Okay.
So we're always one fiscal year behind. So if the state budget implodes, which it has done at least once, and they can suddenly say, oh, we're going to have to cut state aid by 50%, we have a whole year to figure out how to deal with it. It doesn't affect our current budget. And we also try to save a little bit. We get 8,000. Typically, we're spending 50 to 75% of it each year, and that way, if we can stash away a few thousand,
Sure.
And we've been doing that for 15 years, and this was a year that we said, hey, that's how come we had $32,000 and we could vote to spend a bunch of it.
Well, I think it's brilliant.
So we'll have to go back to being a little bit more cautious in the next fiscal year.
When do you actually see that money?
I don't see it at all. It gets mailed
Okay.
direct. It goes directly from the state to the town treasurer.
Okay.
And they pay it in 3 installments. The Board of Library Commissioners gets their budget from the state, and then they vote on how much to give every certified library. And they have a formula that's based on population and a few other things. And then, non-resident circulation is one of them. So the more things we loan to like Grafton residents, we get like a few cents from the state every time. And then they pay it in, they send out half of it in a check in, I think, like September-ish. They send another check in April-ish. And then at the end of the year, sometimes they have a little extra money and they just divide it up. So sometimes we get like this little, $76 check at the end of the year. But that goes straight to Kenny. I don't see those or get notified or anything.
Any other comments or questions for Matthew on the financial report?
That total at the bottom, what is that total with?
Let me pull that back up. Oh, that is actually something I use to sort of check that I didn't do an error. So should be adding up all the FY21 vouchers stuff, and it should add up to
21.
FY22. But so everything, below where it says FY22 budgets, you're below the account names. That lower section, that's all this categories that we spend in. So if you add up all of those, in most months, it should equal the amount that we spent up at the top. Obviously, this month it didn't, because I'm spending on things that don't show up in those budget categories.
Right.
So most months, a normal month, we only spend from the expense account. And in that case, the library expense debit number should be the same as that total. And I sort of use that when I prepare this. If those numbers don't match, that triggers me to say, oh, something didn't get classified right.
Okay.
But the last couple of months, it's been all over the place because we've been using state aid and we've been buying things that were sort of capital expenses and not operating expenses. It's probably good that this is not the month I try to explain all the vouchers.
Yeah, probably not. You're right. You're probably right. All right. Any other feedback? Questions? No. Okay, someone will make a motion on the financial report.
And we accept a financial report, just one of these.
Second?
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Dominique,
Hi.
your voice there. Bill,
Aye.
Lauren,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Earl,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I am an aye. Unanimous. All right. Next is your director's report, Matthew.
All right, let me see if I can share this. Does that look better? I shared a window instead of my whole screen. I can make that a little bigger. Okay.
Take a look.
So again, this is a report that I write for the
So to read.
edification of the trustees. This doesn't go anywhere else in town. I mean, I share it with, but so the numbers and information on here needs to make sense to me, and it needs to make sense to you. So again, if there's any different format, or things that don't make sense, or they've been zeros for the last 2-3 years, and we should just take them off the form, we can do that. So normally I start at the top with some circulation information, and then statistics on our services. And this month was super interesting because we made a massive change to library services, and it was kind of, this is the first full month of statistics from being in the community center. So I highlighted a few things that I thought were interesting. The overall picture is pretty much what I expected. We're seeing a huge increase in visitors. We don't track time, but we are anecdotally seeing an increase in the amount of time each visit takes. We saw a small increase in circulation, but not massive. And
Well, wait a minute. That looks huge to me.
Good.
it's not, well, compared to April, but we were only open for 2 weeks in April.
Well,
Right,
compared
but the
to last year.
record, but looking at the record, it's close to the record.
Yeah,
And look at last May was 2,600. And now we're 4,280. Am I right about this?
I feel like that May number is wrong.
What's up, Matthew? Better to
Yeah,
open it.
yeah,
I see it.
One of his emails.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that May number is,
The current one, the 223.
no, the May 22.
Okay.
I don't have that spreadsheet on this computer.
Well, it's not that different from last month in April, so.
Yeah, something happened there.
So the.
Like maybe I
record-
didn't fill
Is
the.
it record a new category?
Yes, so that is new. So what I did is, so we had previously been sort of comparing to pre-COVID, because when we came out of COVID, comparing post-COVID numbers to current, like the middle of COVID. So I was comparing all the way back to 2019, and I don't need to do that anymore because 1 year ago is outside the COVID closing window.
Yeah.
So instead, I took that column and I put the record just first of all, because I thought we might break a couple of years this month, and then second of all, because it's interesting to sort of compare to, you know, where are we overall. So I feel like I want to double check, but I'm sure this number is not right. These I think I updated. It's quite possible I forgot to update this column because that doesn't look right. I know I updated the April and the record.
Those record numbers are unbelievable. What was the cause of those?
Yeah, when was that?
So our height of so the circulation numbers, our height was like 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And that's when we were seeing, you know, really high circulations. really high. This unique patrons and unique items was super high.
Were they giving like big assignments at the schools or something? Why do you think that was?
I mean, Lisa Stratton was a big part of it because she got a lot of kids in for the summer program, and our circulation did peak then, and it's been sort of drifting down.
Okay.
You know, we had all those years before COVID when we were kind of like, circulation's falling off 2%, 5%,
Right. I know.
and then it went off a cliff in COVID, and now we've been sort of coming back up
Right.
since then.
She said, "Kindle."
I think it's Kindle.
People and
Could be.
books their own ways.
Devices in general because of kids.
Right.
Yeah.
That's probably a good. All
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so there in the record, and you know,
Yeah.
modern times.
So circulation was one. You know, circulation didn't double, it didn't triple. I mean, April is a weird,
The people did.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we wanted it to be a community center where people can come and hang out. They are.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah. So circulation numbers a little bit up, not super up, but where we're seeing the really big increases. All right here, number of new patrons,
Oh, yeah.
90 is a new record,
All right.
and
Yes.
the previous record, 77, was a first grade field trip month where every single first grader gets a library card.
And I just heard today that they don't do that. They haven't done it since COVID, right?
Probably.
They did it.
They did. No, they actually did because we had to approve it.
Even
Because it was-
we got the kids cards, even if they couldn't.
Right.
They got
I was just
Yeah.
talking to a mom today who she said her kid just missed the third grade history field trip because he was sick, and she goes, and it's the first field trip he's ever had. They didn't even get the library card during COVID.
Yeah.
So a typical non-first grade field trip month over the last 5 years has been 10 to 15 new patrons, and we did 90 in May.
Wow.
And that was a lot of people coming in for the senior center, walking around the corner and getting a library card, and a lot of people saying, "Hey, I haven't been in the library in 10 years. Can I get
Right.
a card?" So that's been really good.
Excellent.
It's
great.
New items not really about. Room bookings. So we have opened this room and study rooms to bookings. They're divided into the meeting rooms are the classroom and the conference room, and then the study rooms are the three small study rooms down the end. So we had 12 bookings in each category for our first month, which is pretty good. I looked at our note, and actually I was kind of sad because when we used to book out the gathering room, the Milton Racine building, we really only did that for 1 year, and then COVID hit. I thought it was longer,
Really?
but it was really only 1 year, and the previous record back then was 60.
Wow.
And-
A month? Jeez.
Yeah. But I think this is going to be increasing, and I'll also point out these are only people that go on the website and reserve the room. This does not count people that just wander in and use it.
Right.
So 60, okay, so over the course of a month,
Yeah.
they're open 20 days?
22.
Yeah, usually it's 20 to 22
Oh,
days.
that's right. No Mondays. I forgot.
So we're having
Yeah.
3 bookings a day on average?
This was
Oh, that's
the old building.
The old building.
I
60.
know. I know.
Oh,
I'm just surprised how.
I know that's high.
Yeah.
It seems high for that building.
I couldn't tell what month it was, but
Yeah.
my guess is we had a tutor who basically booked
Oh.
it every day.
Right, right.
Well, 3 times a day, so several people? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, right. So what kinds of people or groups are booking? We're talking, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts.
Yes, study
Yeah.
rooms are individual people. But the
Okay.
people that are booking this room and the conference room, probably 8 of these 12 were Steve Racketon, because he's booking it for the technology committee meetings
Okay.
and the building committee meetings. So he's bringing a lot of things in there. The others are, we did have a Daisy Scout troop meet in this room. We actually had I'm stopping because I want to make sure I don't reveal any confidential information, but we had a neighborhood concern group meet here that
Okay.
they wanted to talk about some concerns they had
Wow.
involving the town. We've had a couple people use the conference room so when they book the room, they have to write down the nature of the use, but it's, it can be very vague. But we had some people say legal meeting, so I assume they were meeting with the lawyer or client or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I run a D&D group through the library for middle school age kids. And we actually had an offshoot of that group do a non-library D&D event. So they booked the room for their personal group instead of the library's group. But that sort of thing.
All right.
How have people been leaving the room? Has there been any food issues? Or...
Not in the meeting rooms. We've had a few food issues, at some of the chairs and things. Not bad. Just, okay, here's a little chip that I have to get the vacuum cleaner and clean up.
Yeah.
Most people have been really pretty good. No damaged equipment, no tables, damaged chairs have been put away.
No red Gatorade. Well, that's my kids goes. My mind goes, sticky things.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking with the daisies,
So far, so good.
Okay.
And then the other one that has really jumped up is library visits. So we averaged 152 per day for May. I don't put previous years on this generally, but since COVID, so over the last year, we've been averaging about 50 visits per day.
Mm-hmm.
Before COVID, so back in that 2018, 2020 range, we were at about 100. So we are triple what we were 2 months ago and well over the maximum we've ever been. We had a couple days, we've had 2 days that broke 300 so far, both Saturday.
Oh,
Both
so
Saturday.
one was the book sale day.
One was the book sale,
Oh.
and the other one, what was the other 300 day was third grade field trips. It wasn't a Saturday, it was third grade field trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you count people?
We have staff with a clicker at the desk.
At the book sale, there was somebody clicking.
Yeah, so what we do, so whoever staff person is stationed at the desk,
Yeah.
they count, and we only count people that basically walk past our desk.
Right.
So if you walk in the COA door, go to a COA event and leave, we don't count you.
Right.
But if you were at the book sale and you walked into the library past our desk, then we counted you.
Right.
And then programming, so children's programs are pretty much full. These are actual attendance numbers. We are taking 12 as our maximum registration for baby story time and preschool story time. And then there's a couple no shows. And then, sometimes Leanne is feeling very generous and lets a few people in who are in the children's area but didn't sign up.
They're here, they're in this room.
Yes.
Because basically if it's 12, then you're doubling that with the adults.
With the kids, right.
And this room max is 24, huh?
30.
The fire capacity is 31. We have 24 chairs. So if you go to book this room, it says capacity 24, but that's not the fire limit. That's how many chairs we have.
Okay.
What happened last week? Some people hadn't come and there were other people
People
waiting.
showed up late, so I start all programs right on time. And Matthew knows that. We discuss that all the time, start on time.
Yep.
After the program starts for about 5 minutes, and it looks like those people aren't showing up, I have let some people in. The people that didn't show up showed up 10 minutes late to the
Ugh.
program. So it ended up with more. And hopefully those things will work themselves out as we get more into a
That's right.
I do, but this is also all new to us because we didn't have registration for
Registrations.
programs at the old building.
Right.
And I think it's working pretty well. People know what to do.
Mhm.
And we have some people who show up at the desk the day of programs, not many. We get a lot of people who try to register the night before a program and there's no room. So we're working on it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk quite a bit about programs. I think programs is kind of my main topic for tonight. But what these numbers are showing is that children's programs are pretty much filling up. All the registration slots are full. So this is capping out at what Leanne and I had decided the max can be. Make and take crafts was a crazy number. So this is what Leanne just sort of makes and leaves out on the desk. And she tracks this by counting how many copies she makes. And then when they run out, she knows, oh, I made 50 and they're all gone. So we record 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been in like the 200s when we were in the Dalton Racine building over the last couple of months. So it's up high.
A lot of people
Feeling that-
finding out about that they didn't know.
I'm filling up the
Right.
cart constantly.
Right. Wow.
And then these are sort of our miscellaneous young adult programs, trivia program, book group. Those have not changed attendance too much since we moved. And then these bottom 4 or 5, those are the ones that we booked professional presenters for to kind of bring in some outside groups. Attendance and registrations at those has been really kind of spotty. We had 23 at the bird watching event. That was great. The pastel workshop, we cap at 20, and we actually had a lot of no-shows. We had, 18 signed up and 12 showed up, so that sort of thing. Raised bed gardening was a complete miss. Protest songs would be nice. And a lot of these adult programs, a lot of people are sort of looking at the flyers and saying, oh, that sounds really nice. I'm so glad it's happening. And then they don't actually show up, or we have a lot of registrations that don't come. So we're
Advertises this type of thing on social media, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing, we didn't see an immediate, mass outpouring of,
Right.
hacking the rooms on these.
Okay.
But it's, it may be more than we would have had in the old space, or we didn't have the old
You have
space.
me.
Yeah. So it's something we have to build. It will
Right.
take time.
And then baby sign language, that was capped. So, that was full. The program was full. Bunch of stuff all coming up this month.
And there's a second babysitting course.
So we had
in
a
August.
growing
We're
summer
adding it.
Yeah.
Yes, the first one is already
It's
full
full.
with registrations and
Yeah.
3 people on a wait list. So
Great.
How was that growing summer?
Yeah, summer salad, it was like 4 or 5 people. Backyard birds was, I think, 8, maybe 6 or 8. So they're not,
Birds get a little more than gardening, it sounds. Not a lot, but a little.
Yeah.
yeah, but we're not seeing,
Get used to it. Yeah.
50 people coming to these things. It's
Right.
kind of, and a lot of them are
It'll get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
a lot of them are the same people to everything. And then when we get down to end of June, now these are starting to be summer reading events that are, summer reading registration starts the 20th. Kickoff is Friday. We're still doing that at Nipmuc because we will get more than the great room can hold.
This is a week from Friday.
and if it rains,
Friday
we'll
the
be in
23rd.
there.
Matthew, this is Dominique.
Yes.
Do we have a sense of how long we're gonna sort of, wait to see how the numbers shift before we potentially reach out to the community and find out maybe why these aren't attended? Because my initial reaction is 6:30 on a weeknight for a working parent is a tall order. So there may be quite a significant population that we're missing. And I recognize that you are also a working parent, and there are lots of working parents, but I wonder if that's part of it. Because 6:30 is dinner time for a lot of people, and I don't know what the right answer is. I'm just, curious as to, at what point, and it's now is too soon, but potentially, do we potentially try and solicit some feedback from community members around programming and timing and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so our last agenda item on my report is all about programming and what we want to do going forward. So what I did is back in April, I sort of booked a whole bunch of this type of program, these gardening programs, bird programs, marathon program. And I booked a bunch in May, a bunch in June. I got 1 or 2 in July. And that was sort of all we had budget and ability to do. And then my thought was we'd do that in the spring. We have all the summer events that gets us through July and August. And then the plan has been,
Get up again.
we have a adult librarian who's starting
Right.
soon. We've got a couple months to figure out what we want to do in the fall. And yeah, I think it could be the wrong time. It could be topics people aren't super interested in. It could be we're not advertising in the right place. There's a lot of things. So yes, I would like to talk about all those things.
Okay.
I mean, most of these are Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings because that was when I was available to run them. So that's when I booked them.
Of course. That makes sense.
Just so many things.
Yeah.
I do think we have a very vibrant gardening community, though. I gotta say, I posted some seedlings on Buy Nothing and on the Buy Nothing site and tomato seedlings, and they went like hotcakes. I think there are a lot of people who do garden. So I think the numbers are interesting because my perception is that we have quite a community of green thumbers, or people that want to be.
I think there may be more advanced gardeners. That may be what we have. Maybe we need more complex offerings.
Possible.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on and take a peek at the agenda. I try to write my director's report in the order of the agenda, so I think we could just go right down it. Fiscal 23 budget, we talked about community center statistics. We just talked about all of that. I am getting a lot of questions about room bookings. So, and some are very interesting sort of events that I wouldn't have expected to come in here.
Like for instance,
Yeah, like what? Curious.
Again, I have one in mind, and again, I'm hesitating because it's a private event that I don't know I can share, but it was actually a Baha'i prayer ceremony, looking for a place. It was someone that moved to town recently and is a member of the Baha'i faith, and they wanted to invite some of their community from the town they moved into to come here and do a prayer ceremony.
Nice. Okay.
And our room use policy does allow religious use.
Right.
So,
Right.
we've had a Baha'i temple in town here for years.
Yeah,
Right,
did.
yeah, we're doing it common here, yeah.
We did. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
AV and IT is getting better. We are fully connected in the classroom right now on the Polycom camera, so that's good. We're having a lot of confusion with patrons that couldn't get on the public wireless, so we changed that to require a password instead of a splash page, and that's working much better. Air printing still doesn't work. That's a source of frustration for patrons and staff. And the lighting controls are much better than they were a week ago, but they're still not there yet.
Yeah.
Dedication ceremony is this Wednesday. It's at 6:30. We're closing the library at 5. Then we're doing the dedication ceremony, and then there's an open house afterwards. So I will have staff here because if we do an open house, people are going to want to check things out.
And it's not going to rain, right?
It's not looking great right now. So the town manager's office is organizing this whole ceremony, so they will make the call as to whether they try to move it into the great room, or the initial plan was to have it speeches and things on the parking lot and then do a ribbon cutting and then come in for the open house. So I asked Sandy today, I said, if you go in the great room, where are you going to string the ribbon? She wasn't sure, but he'll figure it out.
It's raining forever.
Yeah.
So that's this Wednesday.
We gardeners like that.
I know we've been talking about the Jim Brochu and John Robertson Jr. dedications. It doesn't sound like, well, that will not be
Right.
part of this ceremony. Certainly, I think speakers will mention both of those people. I know I'm planning on saying a few words about John Robertson. I'm sure other people will as well. But those plaques and those dedications will not be part of this ceremony. So we should think about the trustees and I doing our own ceremony later on, once we have the plaque on the wall, and we could do a, invite people in and do it in memory of John Knight or something like that.
That's great.
I did get approved for the plaque. It looked good. I told them to fabricate it. It's not here yet. It won't be here for Wednesday. So when it gets here, we'll hang it and then we can do our own ceremony.
And there was a big controversy about or kerfuffle about about the sign inside the building at the last selectmen's meeting.
Yes, so
In the
the
supposed to be.
actual building dedication plaque that has the architect's name and, the year and the citizens of Upton and Board of Selectmen. So there was, the plaque that got created and shipped to us was not the plaque that was approved.
Yeah.
So, there's just there's spelling errors and there's things in the wrong place and there's underlines that weren't supposed to be underlined and phrases that got changed. So that whole plaque is getting refabricated. That's a building committee responsibility. So I don't know right now if you look in the hallway, I have a piece of cardboard taped over it. I don't know if they'll have the cardboard up or they'll take the cardboard down and say, this is the plaque, but it's wrong. It's not it's not horrible or it's not offensive or anything. It's just, it's not the format and the locations. It's a very long story, but there were more than 27 drafts of this plaque between the selectmen meeting and the building committee, and the Board of Selectmen approved a proof that was supposed to be the final one, and an earlier version got used by the sign manufacturer, and then they even did things wrong based on that earlier version. So
Too many people.
That sounds like
too many people, too many drafts, and then an error in fabrication. It's been a whole big thing, but that's a building committee problem, and they spent untold hours talking about it. So
I'll say just in that one meeting.
All right, so moving on from Wednesday, holiday schedule. So I usually come to the trustees and have you guys vote on what days to recognize as holidays. Because we're closed Mondays, a lot of these holidays have vanished. We don't have to worry about them. That is going to start being a problem as soon as we start opening Mondays. But what I would like to approve is that Monday, June 19th is a holiday for full-time staff. Obviously, it's a Monday, the library is closed. For the July 4th weekend, July 3rd is a Monday, so we will be closed. All other town buildings, including Council on Aging, will be open. And then Tuesday, July 4th is the holiday, so we'll be closed. So what I would like the library hours to be is regular hours on Saturday. I won't be here personally, but staff will be here to open on Saturday. Then we'll be closed both July 3rd and July 4th. So I don't know if that takes us
One's a
both.
Monday and one's a holiday. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and now if we were open Mondays, I would probably be advocating for being closed July 3rd anyway. I think it's going to be tough to open these buildings on July 3rd, but
then everybody else is going to do it. Even the town hall's open on July 3rd?
they are supposed to be. Whether they have enough
Don't
staff
knock
that
on the
aren't
door,
taking
Lori.
vacation time is a whole
Nobody
other
there.
thing, right? I mean, you can say you want the building to be open, but if 75% of your staff
Right, or
use
not
this
there.
time off, what are you
Yeah.
going to do?
Exactly. So does anybody have any issues or questions about the holiday schedule? If not, we'll approve it by unanimous consent. I don't need to take a person by person vote on it.
Okay.
Agree? Yeah.
Agree.
Okay.
Like I said, we may. I mean, I guess I'll let you know when the Monday holidays are, but it's not really a question. You know, once we're open Monday, we have to be closed on the state holidays, and we'll just have to post it.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to pop back to the agenda, make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Nope, personnel is next.
Yep.
So we had a group of trustees and myself formed a promotion review committee, and we did a review of Michaela Austin, who is currently one of our library assistants, and she recently got her MLS, Master's in Library Science, and is looking for a full-time public librarian position, and we have just created a full-time adult librarian position.
Right.
And I believe the committee afterwards unanimously recommended that we offer the promotion to Michaela.
Yes.
So I don't think there's actually any action I need from the trustees. According to HR, this is just a promotion. We don't have to do a job offer. We just, basically, I fill out a form that says her new job title and her new pay rate. And
that starts July 1st, right?
yeah,
July 1st.
I did talk to Michaela to see if there was any possibility she wanted to start a little earlier. Couldn't have been a whole lot earlier, but no, she wants to go with July 1st. We've talked about her schedule. She actually, which is good for adult grade, she's actually prefers working evenings. So she's going to be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings. So that will open up the opportunities we have to offer programs.
Right.
So what would her hours be on a day like that?
12 to 8. And then she's going to do on Mondays and Fridays, 9 to 4, because that's when, when we're open.
Can we say what we felt about the interview?
As long as you don't share anything you're not allowed to share in a public meeting, you can say
first,
yes.
Before you say anything, I know we had a lot of discussion about it. There was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of, discussion about whether, Matthew should just do the promotion or whether we wanted to do an interview. But after the two trustees met with Michaela, it felt fantastic. And I think that's really all we wanted was to just, and we can't, we're in a government situation. We can't just walk up to Michaela in the library and say, hey, what ideas have you got? Or what's going on? Or what would you like to do? Or whatever. We can't do that because of the restrictions. So the only way to do that was to have a couple trustees just have a discussion with her and be able to ask some questions or listen to answers or whatever happened in that meeting. So, I really just want to make sure you understand it really wasn't that we didn't trust you. It's just we wanted to talk to her and just get some information from her and have a discussion. And it clearly was a success. So we're all happy with that.
Very much so.
Yes.
It was wonderful to get to know her more and to hear her ideas. And she had lots of great ideas and lots of enthusiasm, which doesn't, being a circulation person, you don't really get the opportunity to show that.
Right.
So, you folks know, but we didn't know, and we're in a position where we have to sometimes say or support that too. So just gave us a great deal of comfort about it. Now we can be excited instead of who knows.
Do we need to smooth things over with Michaela? Did she understand it, or was there some sort of, why did I need to meet me?
No, she was
Okay.
fine. I think
All
we, no, she's fine.
Okay, all right. Okay, Lori, you can go now. I just wanted to get that out of the way first.
Thanks, Jack.
It was very enjoyable. I think she enjoyed it. I think she enjoyed showing us about herself more and talking about her ideas. And so now we know what she wants to do, and she feels about lots of different things, and
Yes,
we left there.
she was just so prepared
Wonderful.
and had so many things to share with us. It was great.
Yeah, I did not know she was going to show up with a binder full of programming ideas. We have talked a lot. We talked a lot about the position. We talked a lot about the process. I've been very open. But yeah, she did. That was a surprise to me as well. She had this whole binder of ideas.
But it didn't surprise me at all, because I think most people interviewing for a job would have something
Would be
like that and would be.
Even though it wasn't an interview for a job.
Right.
But
She's
it was a similar scenario.
taking classes. She's, she knows.
Yeah. So, anyways.
All right, so I will file that form with the town manager's office, and she will be all set to start in the new position July 1st.
Great.
All right. So the next step after that, so we will have the open position of library assistant that Michaela is vacating. So I have started the recruitment process. We've done a draft job ad. So I will just keep working with the HR department to get that posted. And this will just be a normal, straight to external posting. Applicants can fill out the application form that's on the town manager's website. Send that in with your resume and cover letter if you want, and then we'll go through the normal process.
And you're hiring that person, correct?
So,
Or do we need to vote on it after you select someone?
so this is the next question. So we've had this discussion every time a position opens
Right.
up. we talk about it.
I know. I
So
keep hoping it changes.
the HR department, the opinion of human resources at this point is that the library director, as the department head, should be the hiring authority for all other positions. And the library trustees should only be involved in the hiring of a library director. So the request and procedure that the HR department would like you to follow is that you have nothing to do with it until I show up at a meeting and say, hey, we hired this person.
Right.
And if that person messes up, you're 100% responsible.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What we have done as a compromise for the last couple hiring rounds is that we've had one trustee member
Right.
as an invited observer
Right.
at the interviews. So if you would like to continue that, in some ways it can be more frustrating than because you're there as an observer and then you're not allowed to, you can ask questions, but you're not allowed to vote. And then when it comes to the board, we're stuck in this position of saying, we can tell you their name, but we can't share anything else about them.
We used to have a procedure for hiring that we loved.
I think this is the problem.
What we had was wonderful. It was great.
It was.
And we got such good people. And they ripped it away, calling what they do now best practices, which doesn't seem.
Well, you said it, Matthew, and you were so right. That thing that got passed, probably none of us had read, exactly with a microscope what it said. And I think it's coming from that, right?
I mean, if I can speak a little bit in defense of the current procedures, I mean, we did switch to a town manager form of government, which changed a lot of things. We did actually hire an HR person, which we never had before. And I think a lot of it is a protection for the town to have a professional hiring process. Not that we ever had a problem like this, but an elected board member at an interview could very easily ask something either illegal or inappropriate or open the town up to liability. If you don't offer someone a job and they say, well, why, what process did you follow? And you justify that the wrong way, you can very easily open yourself up to some problems. And the second thing I'll point out is that the guidelines put out by the MBLC do specifically say trustees should not be involved in hiring processes. That should be, the smaller the library gets, maybe the more involved the trustees get a little bit, but they do say that should be the responsibility of the library director.
So if you were, Leanne, if you were to leave the town or decide you don't want to work here anymore, we could have an observer when you go to hire a replacement for Leanne.
I think if we set a precedent by not having anybody here now, it would be hard to get somebody on later on.
Yeah, it's been sort of, we asked for 3 and then they said we'll send 1. And then, 2 years from now, if you say we'll send 1, they might say, nope, nobody.
Okay.
If you have to replace a library director, then you have the option of doing a search committee path, which that's laid out in the personnel bylaw as an option that you could trigger on.
All right, so it's all or nothing.
I think you could in the personnel bylaw if we had to fill a adult librarian position or something. You could say I want to do the search committee process, even at that level, but that process again, it's very strictly regulated and it's pretty cumbersome and it has to happen at open meetings and I don't think you'd want to do that for anything other than the library director.
Okay.
So
alrighty.
The immediate decision we need to make is, do you want to send a trustee representative to the interviews? Is it helpful if that person then can't say much to the full board?
I think it's nice if people can feel that a trustee feels good about the hire, which is basically what you can say, is I support the hire.
Yeah, and again, so the HR, we have always we've always brought a recommendation to the board and said, vote to hire this person. Again, what I'm hearing from the HR director is they feel that you are not actually the hiring authority for anyone except the library director. So if we follow personnel policies and procedures, it would not come up at this meeting. I would not bring a name to you and say, this
You
is the
would just say
person I'm
you hired
recommending.
Susie Smith to be the library assistant.
Right. We would go all the way through the interviews and the job offer until, and I would just come to this group and say, this person started last week.
It's right.
So I've this is Dominique. If I could just weigh in for a second. So I remember last year, right? Like Matthew, we gave you very high review ratings, right? If I'm giving somebody a high review rating and then not empowering them to make 100% of a hiring decision for a library assistant, and obviously we don't have a vote, so it's not like, but to even question it, like I struggle a little bit with that. If I was a director and my 9 bosses said, we have to be a part of an interview because we just want our eyeballs on this process, like I'd feel a little bit micromanaged. I have to be honest with you. Like, I 100% trust Matthew to make this decision. He just made the decision on Michaela. Why would we question whether he can make the decision on a library assistant? And maybe it's not a question. Maybe it's just we want to be involved. But at the same time, like, it just, and I, please challenge me. I feel it feels a little bit like micromanagement. And I'm not interested in micromanaging somebody who gets a 5 in their review.
Yeah.
If Matthew got a 3 on his review or a 2, I would say, okay, then I understand. But he's excellent, So that's sort of my thinking on this.
I agree.
I don't disagree with anything you said, Dominique. I agree with you about Matthew. I guess it's an historical thing because we've been doing it that way for so long. It was never meant to be micromanaging. It was meant to be a team approach. That's how we saw it for so long. So I imagine someone coming in now looks at it and says, wow, what is going on? But it was never meant to be like that. It was always meant to be, we were a small library, a small town. It was a cooperative process. So I think we're just struggling with change. That's all. I think that's what it might be.
I can understand that. Like, definitely as somebody coming in new, like the perspective is very different than somebody who's been doing it for 25 years. So I appreciate that, Charlotte. Thank you.
What we used to do was a committee of trustees used to get the applications. We went through them. We are the ones who gave the group that was going to go forward. And then we're on the committee with personnel board, with library staff, and it was a very cooperative effort. And you did feel like there was some involvement there. And it didn't feel like micromanaging. It felt like just a group effort of people who worked on this together. So now it just feels like administrative rather than work. It feels like a big admin thing to me, big bureaucratic thing. That's how it feels to me.
So Matt, did you want us to vote on this, or we'd have to follow the policies and procedures that are currently in place. So I'm not sure.
I don't think I need a vote. I just need a consensus that, do you want me to advocate for having a trustee on the interview committee or not?
Nope.
Have you found it ever to be helpful to hear a trustee point of view? That's a hard question.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
he's in front of a bunch of trustees, so you know answer that.
It is always helpful. And I have been here a lot. We have gone through a lot of changes. And when I started, the first couple hires, like there wasn't a personnel board or they didn't do anything. There wasn't a town manager. There wasn't an HR department. It was me and 3 trustees. So if the alternative was me making the decision alone, then yes, I definitely liked having the multiple perspectives. And as we've gone along, so now we've added on, or the personnel board has to send a member and the HR department has to send a member. But now we're at the point where there's, 6 people in the room. So I see the I see that side of it, and I see the more, no offense to the trustees, but except for Debbie, you are not HR professionals, and it makes the town's HR professionals get really nervous when people with no training or background are in an interview asking questions that could be very litigious in nature. So I have always appreciated the feedback from the trustees that do attend. And when we used to make the, it used to be me and 3 trustees kind of deciding without the personnel board involved at all. I'm trying to think, most of the hirings we've done, it has been 100% clear who the person was after the interviews. And I can only think of maybe 2 where we really sat down and said, like, okay, these 2 are really close. Little things are going to tip the difference. And then we had that one hiring process for children's librarian that got very complicated because we got a bad reference and then we had to go back. I don't know if some of you might remember that.
And we never think about diversity with our fancy HR person and our personnel committee.
I would say again, Lori, that's
Yeah.
probably one of the things that the HR person doesn't want you to bring up, right? Because all the good intentions you have in the world, you can't talk about someone's race or background when you're deciding whether or not to.
Yeah.
Even if you're saying, hey, this person we really want to hire because of these reasons, you can't talk about those reasons.
Right. Yeah. Bill, do you want to weigh in before we finish this discussion?
Well, I personally don't feel like I would add anything additional to personnel and the people that are otherwise being asked to be involved. So
Okay.
I think we're going to end up getting the same kind of input into the process from the current setup that you probably were getting from the old setup, similar, maybe not exactly the same. But I'm more than happy to defer. I don't need to be. I don't need that.
Joe, do you have anything to add for us? I know you're
No.
very new, so poor guy.
No, I would just, again, Matthew's point of being professional, and I think the fewer people involved might be safer in the long run in today's world and all the requirements that you ask of people.
Okay. Well, I don't think we need to vote on it, but clearly there's a feeling in the room. So we're going to leave it to you.
All right. And I'm sure we'll have this discussion again when we're filling a full-time position because it's maybe different.
Could be. I don't know.
All right. Thank you all for catching that up again.
Leave.
All right. So related to that, when we fill that position, we will then have enough staff that we could open Mondays if we want. So we've talked about this a little bit. I just want to confirm that it is the desire of the trustees that as soon as we have enough staff to be open Mondays, to start being open Mondays. And that would make our regular hours Monday 9 to 4, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday 9 to 8, Friday and Saturday 9 to 4. Still pretty simple. And that would have us open all the hours that the Council on Aging is open.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to deal with holiday closings.
What happens on Mondays when they're open and we are not?
We
You're not here, so
we
you may not
X a lot
know.
of things out.
So you still end up. Okay.
Missing note.
It's not. It hasn't been horrible. Nothing. No one's come behind the desk and tried to do self-service or anything. But yeah, it is a little weird to have people down here using the collection when the library is technically closed.
Right.
And so how will the holidays affect you now? How will it be different?
Mostly that I will have to make a point of posting that when we're closed, right? Sign on the door,
Okay.
on the website, and people should realize, like, it should not be a big surprise that the library is not open on Martin Luther King Day.
Right.
But it's still it's just one more little administrative process. Like, it's got to get posted, it's got to get announced, it's got to be ahead of time.
But I guess I meant if someone works on a Monday and it's the holiday would be closed.
Right.
Right.
Both
And
sides of the building would be closed.
the part-time staff do not get holiday benefits. So the person that we're hiring, when we post this job, we're going to say we want you to work Mondays and Fridays 9 to 4, because those are the shifts I have open, that person simply will not get as many hours. Their hours would get cut in half if
Right.
we're closed on Monday. So we do.
And
That's something we
Friday,
can talk about.
Thanksgiving Friday.
Yeah.
That was one thing.
That's something we can talk about in the hiring process. We might get someone who says, yeah, that's fine. It's just a part-time job. We might get someone who says, oh, I'd really like to make up, if I miss my Monday shift and you find me a shift later in the weeks. We can do that.
Okay.
All right. Staff evaluations. This kind of was a little bit of a surprise. Because I had thought we were doing evaluations in July and August. And then I just a week ago was told, oh no, you need to have those all done by June 20th so that you can turn them in with your new pay rates for merit raises. So I had thought we'd be basing these merit raises on last August's evaluations because that's what I was told at that point. So I will try really hard to get evaluations done in the next week. And then that will qualify people for their merit increases. Again, pay rates have always been traditionally something that the library trustees voted on, but apparently they don't really have the authority over. All the HR department is looking for is my signature. So my intention is, after I do the evaluations, all staff that have been here for at least 6 months, which will be everyone except Kayla, who's going to a new position. We're not going to hire her and then give her a merit increase the same week. I'm going to recommend all the staff for the merit increase. The budget was approved with enough funds to do that. So I guess the only thing trustees will have to think about is what do you want to do about my evaluation? Because I had put it on the agenda with the idea like, oh, we'll start talking about it this month and then we'll actually do it in 2 months. Which we can, obviously you can't do my goals and evaluation tonight. That's not realistic. So I would say keep your own process with goals and evaluation,
Right.
but what you might need to decide is what you want to do about my pay rate as of July 1st. So if you want to, we have enough money in the budget that everyone could get a step increase. Everyone's getting the 2% COLA, and then a step increase is another, I think it's 2.8% or 2.5% on top of that. Yeah, 2.8 is great. 2.5 is merit. So we did approve enough funding that all library staff could get a merit step increase.
You said it's 2.8?
To 2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Right, 2.8 is when you go up a grade.
Okay. And nobody's going up a grade.
Well, Michaela's jumping
but
from
she's
3 to
in-
5,
yeah.
but that's all a new position.
Okay.
So it's always a little awkward because these things are at open meetings and I'm sitting here and it's recorded, so.
And we weren't prepared to discuss it, so.
Can we just go off of that evaluation that we've already done? And
So-
then simply give you the merit raise from the evaluation that we accomplished?
I think so. So what
Is
you,
that allowed? I
well,
mean, I just don't know what,
Well, they're not giving us much
these
option, are they,
rules
Tim?
are.
They've got
yeah,
pretty
5
heavy
days to get
duty,
it done,
but-
so.
I mean, they're not giving us any time.
So we're gonna have to.
So
go
can
by
we
something.
vote tonight to utilize the evaluation that we gave? From that evaluation, we can give the merit raise that we could vote on tonight.
I think you could. So there's this form.
We're gonna have to.
I have to fill out.
Evaluation like about only 6 or 7 months ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago, right?
When did they tell us it was due June 20th?
Sounds like this
They
week,
told
last
me
week.
June 6th.
So that's what you're saying. They talk about best practices all the time. It's just words. That's not right.
Well, I mean, it may have been a decision that was made and just didn't get communicated to me. I don't know. So I think
Yeah, I
for
agree
the,
with Tam, we're gonna have to.
I think you could tonight, you could
Yeah.
say, let's vote to give the library director a merit increase if that's what you want to do.
Yes.
If you don't want to do it, that's okay
The
too.
COLA, the merit raise, based on the evaluation that we did,
When did we do it?
bumpty bump,
Feels
you'll
like
have to look.
Yeah.
December?
It wasn't that long ago.
I don't have.
Based on those evaluations,
Mhm.
the merit raise has been earned with the COLA.
Yeah.
End of story. Let's vote on it.
And we do also need to do an evaluation, but we can do it
Well,
on our normal schedule.
so what I'm wondering is
July, August.
if June evaluations are the new thing, don't do one for me in August because they're gonna want
Another one.
right. Wait until, and maybe that gives you a whole year.
Frankly, nothing has changed since December, so we'll just redate it.
Right.
Yes.
Right, so, well, but the community center opened, and that way, your goals, some of your goals and things
We're
were
meant,
community center related, so
So maybe
we have
we,
new goals.
Yeah, but that'd be for the next evaluation.
Yeah, I know, I'm so confused, but I know what you mean.
so maybe what we should do is, and I can do this. Let's pull that last evaluation you did on me. Let's look at the goals. If those
Right.
goals make sense for the next 11 months,
Right.
let's start your evaluation process of me in March, right? So you've got
Right.
March, we start talking about it. Maybe
Yeah.
April, we actually do it. In May, you vote on it. And that way in June, when they say, where's Matthew's evaluation? You can
Right, should have this. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing something
Okay.
in July and August and then being told we got to do something.
So we
different.
need to look at your last review.
Right. And if those goals don't make any sense, then you could maybe just update the goals
Yeah.
instead of doing a
Right,
whole
right.
evaluation.
I mean, I know some of them are community center related, so we gotta update those
on my phone.
And are you saying we do this in the
in the July meeting
We come prepared for the July meeting with this
with
information?
gold.
Or you want to do it right now?
Yeah, no.
Okay, okay.
But we could
I
put,
could
we could put
conceivably.
your goals on the July agenda.
Yeah,
Is that?
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
But,
no,
no, I'm fine with that. But for tonight's meeting,
we have to get the merit.
we have to vote on merit.
Right.
Right.
But I think if everyone agrees,
I
I think what
agree.
Sam just said will work fine.
Okay.
It's weird. I fill out and sign the form for my own raise.
I know.
Weird.
I did a job like that once, but you just have to do it. It's the way you have to do it.
Right.
And you just,
all right, so does someone want to make a motion?
I move that we award Matthew a merit raise, it'll be effective July 1,
Mhm.
effective July 1.
Would
does
you
it,
like to do the
and
second?
I will second it. Does it include the COLA?
That's
Yeah.
cost that.
The COLA and the step increase. You said COLA and step increase, right?
No, I just said the merit raise because.
Oh, merit raise, I'm sorry.
COLA's automatic.
Automatic, okay.
So what's the step, the step increase is if you change it.
It's not.
I just wrote the
step,
wrong
it's
thing down.
merit.
Is it
Yep.
step and merit mean the same thing in this town?
Oh,
Merit
okay,
raise
so I
is a
did-
one-step
okay.
increase.
Okay,
A grade is from one position to
Grade.
another.
Oh,
But
okay,
step is
Okay.
advancing
Yeah.
in your. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah.
okay. All right, so we moved it and seconded. Any more discussion?
No.
Okay. Dominique,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Lori, Tam,
aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Joe, are you still with us? Yeah.
Aye. Yes.
And I'm an aye. So that's unanimous.
Debbie, do you want to think about or asking about changing the agenda order? I do want to have a fairly detailed discussion about programs, which may be very interesting and relevant to Elisa and Leanne,
Sure.
but they also might want to go home.
How long will your discussion take?
I don't know.
2 hours? If it's
No, I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
I mean, my presentation is probably, I would say at least 15 minutes, and then if you
Sure.
get into the weeds on it, it could easily be half an hour.
Well, I think we should let them say.
yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. I agree. It's crazy. Usually we, sometimes visitors go first, so. All right,
I'll be very.
Leanne?
Did you want?
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll be very quick. Thank you for letting me speak and attend. I just wanted to say our spring book sale is a huge success.
Thanks to everybody here, all the volunteer support, and a special thanks to Charlotte Carr and Heidi McCluskey as co-chairs. It was well attended. It was a learning process. It was really nice to be able to have it inside. And then we are sponsoring the food that will be taking place this Wednesday. So Sandy's told me a little bit about that, and I'm looking forward to the dedication ceremony. We're working on a flyer. People have asked to have some kind of flyer or membership information. So we're working on a membership kickoff. And the first step's a flyer. So we're working on that. And then we just continue to meet the first Thursday of every month. We'll be meeting here at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8 p.m. And we are not going to be meeting in the month of July because our meeting, the first Thursday, falls on that 4th of July week, and a lot of people will not be able to attend. So please, if the library trustees are comfortable, please encourage people to come to that first Thursday meeting, join us, see what we're all about, and all of our fun stuff we have planned. So thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right, well, I sent a few weeks ago the PowerPoint that tells all about the summer reading program to the library trustees email address. So hopefully you all got that. If you didn't, let me know. The official start date for the summer reading program is next week, June 20th. It's an 8-week program lasting until August 12th. Basically, we like to keep it kind of low key here for summer. We like to make it as easy for families to participate as much or as little as they like. But basically, goals are just getting people into the library, making the library a habit for them. This year's theme is called Find Your Voice. It's part of the I Read summer program. That's the name of the company that sponsors the materials through the Mass Library System. They provide a lot of resources and things to use. So Find Your Voice can mean a lot of things to different people. Our take is to encourage kids to find their voice, find what kinds of books and stories speak to them, find what they love. So that's how we're approaching it. There are lots of things for people to choose from. So I'm not going to go through everything you thought on the PowerPoint, but the calendar basically has things for 3 different age groups, babies and preschoolers up to age 5. Then you've got your elementary group of kids, and then the tweens and teens. So we've got arts and crafts, there's some science, all kinds of things. Performers, everyone's going to get a folder if they register with all kinds of things to keep them busy all summer long. So if you want to take a look at that, I have it with me. And let me tell you. Jump in with any questions.
how are registrations going?
Well, they start next week.
Oh, it's right there.
So it starts on Tuesday, and they can do that as a Google form online. Matthew will connect that to our website soon so that will become active. But our community tends to respond well to paper and pencil type things. They like to come in with the kids. They like to fill out things by hand and teach the kids that old-fashioned process. So that's kind of how we went back to things after COVID. We went back to doing it that way. The kids get a paper log. They fill out how many times a week they read. They earn little stickers and badges. Some kids like to have little toy incentives. Some just want to read. And really, it's whatever you want your child to do with the program, as much or as little.
And there's no charge for it.
Everything
Because
is
it's
free.
sponsored by
Everything
friends
is
and
free.
Movement.
So the library budget covers part of it. We get donations for some of it, and the Friends help sponsor a few events. The Friends will sponsor, usually they sponsor our kickoff, but this year they're sponsoring a Storytime Quintet. So we'll have a group of 5 musicians come and play their woodwind instruments through a piece of children's literature. So that should be fun. And we get donations. Unibank is probably the biggest donation we get. They sponsor us with $1,000 donation every year. We get our prizes donated. I solicit donations for museum passes, book donations. What else? We get donations from Price Chopper and Wegmans every year. And those gift cards are really nice because they let us buy a lot of the things that aren't as easy to buy with the budget. I mean, just today I was buying things for one of the events at Price Chopper, getting little containers that I need to sort materials. So those don't always make sense to go on Amazon or get those through Staples or WB Mason. It's great to have those donated to us. The kickoff event, I just want to mention a little bit about that because that's the big start to the summer program. Last year we started using the Traveling Lantern Children's Theater program, which is different than we had used in years past, but they were a lot of fun. People seem to enjoy them, so we're bringing them back, and they're going to do a take on Johnny Appleseed, and it's called Rhonda Appleseed and the Tree That Learned How to Speak. So again, that Find Your Voice theme is kind of weaving its way through their program, and that will be Friday, June 23rd. It's at Nipmuc in the courtyard. And like Matthew said, it's a bigger venue, so we can have more people attend. That usually gets about at least 100 people. Families bring their kids, grandparents, nannies, whoever wants to come. And if it rains that night, we'll be in the auditorium. So we do have a backup for that. Questions so far? Anything?
What is bubble paint?
Bubble painting, yeah, I go through, I use Pinterest for a lot of ideas, and then I follow a lot of different social media pages, just getting ideas to see what would work, what would be inexpensive but fun, and something that the kids might not necessarily do at home. Bubble painting is just using a bubble recipe, using dish soap and paint, and actually using straws to blow the bubbles, and then you place painting paper on top of it to get a print of the bubble on the paper, and then you'll create a flower picture out of it. So something they probably wouldn't do at home, and it's fun, and we can talk about science and recipes and whatnot. So if you want to know about any of the activities, just feel free to ask me. They should be a lot of fun. The forest trek with Park Ranger Viola, she's from West Hill Dam, and she does a lot of outreach into the communities, and that was a really fun event we did last year with her. Last year we had about 10 families that joined us at the Upton State Forest, and it was about an hour and a half tour, just a small section of the trail, and she just really went through how to look up, look down, for different creatures, what you might see, what you might hear. So we're going to do something like that, but look for different kind of creatures this year. Things for the teens are in here. They like a lot of the crafts, so we've got those for them. And then the finale, I just wanted to mention because the Friends will host an ice cream finale on that Saturday, August 12th. Last year they paid to have one of JJ's employees come and do the scooping for us, and the Friends paid for the ice cream. It was just a nice time for families to drop in, have ice cream, kind of chat with each other, chat with us, tell us what they liked, what they'd like to see more. So it gave us some good informal feedback at the same time. And of course, it's a nice way to spend it here at the community center.
Inside this year?
I think we're thinking the great room because it's close to the kitchen. I think that's what we decided.
Small.
The great room.
Oh, the great room.
room.
Said the great.
Great room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea, because I can remember years, sometimes it was unbelievably hot and I.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to bring the ice cream outside, right? Because then people bringing all that sticky ice cream onto the playground, kind of making things sticky, and we want to keep it here and make it a nice event. So we'll have that at the end. We have raffle tickets that the kids earn all summer long, as long as they're coming into the library once a week. That's a big part of what it takes to get kids to read, is just getting them here to get those books. So if their families are getting them here, we're going to let those kids get a raffle ticket each week for different items that we have prizes for, and then we'll choose the winners. We'll pick the winners at the end.
I see something about badges.
The badges, they get stickers for the reading logs. That's in here, I can show you. It's just a paper log. So they fill it out, they keep track, little boxes to color in if they're reading every day. So it's just to remind them that you should be trying to read something every day for 15, 20 minutes. Some kids actually wanted to see an old-fashioned log where they can write down what they read. They want to keep track of it. So we added that in. And then just different things they can fill in. The badges are what they collect. They're little stickers that are from the clip art that we have from iRead. And they can come in, get it, put it on their badge, on their chart, collect them. And if they get at least 5 of those, there's a grand prize at the end, just a little something.
Nice.
So different things. Some kids need a lot of motivation, some kids need a little, some need none. So it's just about finding what your child needs and a lot of things to choose from. And right now, the librarian at Memorial School is sharing all that information with the kids at the elementary school with a video I sent.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's a lot easier to have her show a video to every single library class at the elementary school than it is for me to try and reach all those classes. So
Right.
we've been doing that since COVID, and we're just continuing to do that. It works well.
Nice.
Your YouTube explanation was really nice, and thank you for that. That's a great YouTube video.
Yeah, so I did that. Do it originally to send it to the librarian so she can share it with the classes, but it goes on the Upton Town Library YouTube channel that I started during COVID, and that's where families can find it. If they're not sure, what do I do with this folder of materials? Families can go back and watch that video, and I think Matthew usually puts that on our website too, so it's always a place to find it.
I was thinking you could always put the make and take wrap on there as well, but it would prevent people from coming in, so I would.
Yeah, well,
So stick with
It
what we
is,
got.
it is on our homepage, our Pinterest channel. Our Pinterest page is a link anyways, and there will be a part on our Pinterest page with all the summer crafts. So even if you don't make it in, you can still have fun at home. Or if we run out of materials, which I think is going to happen this summer.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that, not having enough materials, but
Right.
we'll figure that out.
Problem.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes.
Yeah. But lots going on. It's going to be very busy. You're welcome to join at any events if you want to find out what's going on. Feel free to drop in, or if you want to find out more about it, just feel free to ask, stop by, call, email. Lots
Okay.
fun.
Anyone have any questions for Leanne? Feedback?
Are there any caps on the attendance for any of these?
Programs are still registration based, so all the regular programs still run. So we're still doing all of our story times. Me. I'll still be doing all the story times, book clubs, all those. Any of the small events. So, for example, like the bubble painting is registration for 12. We'll take a wait list. If it looks like I can get everyone in, have enough materials, and still be able to run the event by myself, I'll let a few more people in. I think the most we could probably hold in this room is probably 16 kids for an event like that.
How about you ever need help?
I'm always looking for volunteers.
How about the forest trek? Is that something?
That could be a more open-ended.
Okay.
Though that's on a Saturday,
Mhm.
so, and it's in the summer, so it can get hot.
Right.
But I think
Checks.
yeah.
You're welcome, and you're not like see a lot of creatures with a big crowd like that because they make too much.
Yeah, Viola, Park Ranger Viola did a really great job last year. She's phenomenal with the kids, and she brings props, and she goes into discussions at each little stop she makes, and it really works out well. So, I mean, she could probably have, 20 kids and still be fine. Summer is a hard time to reach a lot of families with vacations, just not being in town. They might be in a different place, so we kind of know when those waves are.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to like to catch people right when school gets out for the first 2 weeks. It kind of dips down with 4th of July and those middle July weeks, and then we see people starting to return in August. So we try to plan some key events appropriately in that time frame.
That's great. Great job.
I'd like to, I would just like to say that to second that, I mean, my kids have had a great time with our program over the years. And as you just said, some weeks are definitely better than others, and they read a lot more than other weeks. But it's great to have all those options. So thank you for the great job you've done.
I just love encouraging kids to read what they enjoy. The schools kind of make them read what they need them to read for the curriculum, but our job is to help kids find what they love. And that goes right back to the find your voice. Find what you love to read, and you'll always read. So, yeah.
Okay. Are we going to start a volunteer program? We talked about when we were in the community center doing that to sort of help.
Yeah, Leanne and I keep talking about it.
You put out something for
I
tea.
did email my listserv recently to ask for some help, because I know the summer is going to be needing that as far as, maintaining the children's area. That's getting the most use.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're trying to identify things that are appropriate for volunteers to do, and it's probably going to be more sort of, oh, I need someone at this specific event, and less, I don't see us ever using volunteers to be behind the desk
Right.
or even reshelving books is, one of those things that it needs to be done correctly and consistently, and it's not always the strength of a volunteer, but Lee and I have talked about, we watch this children's play area and how much staff time are we spending organizing that. So, we may put out a call and say, hey, we need someone who can do, 2 hours a week, and it doesn't really matter. If you can't do it Wednesday, do it Thursday. That's like an ideal sort of volunteer thing because it's flexible. It won't, if it doesn't happen for a week, it doesn't break the library, that sort of.
Case in point, I spent 15 to 20 minutes today sharpening every single pencil in this area.
Oh, God.
An easy task for a volunteer to do, but
Yeah.
it took away time from something else I should be doing. So
Right.
it's just
Yep.
those little things that really staff shouldn't be doing, but a volunteer could easily do and help out with.
I think I did start looking for teens.
Yeah, I've got some older kids. I'd like older kids.
Right.
Because I
15,
think
16.
we need 14 and up, I think is the policy through the town for volunteers, but.
Right, so we've got to follow the town policy, and the
Right.
town really encourages us to use the tax work-off program if we can, before we go out to the,
Yeah,
pure
we'll reach
volunteers.
out to them as well, I think. See how the summer starts.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next agenda item is long-range plan. We don't have to do anything about it tonight. I just wanted to throw it out there that we do need to do another one. And this one, because now we're in the new building, some of our old standbys, like more accessibility, is probably not going to be our number one goal anymore, and it has been for the last 20 years. So this should really be, some years we just do the action plan, which is about 4 pages. This really should be a year that we do the whole plan from scratch. They usually end up being 15, 20 pages. And so start thinking if you would want to be, usually we take a subcommittee of the trustees and have them meet outside of this meeting and then come back and present, drafts and things. So I'm really thinking, probably we're going to be looking at twice a month meetings and really committing 2 or 3 hours at a time because we've got to sit down and, this year's process is going to be really open because we've got a lot of things we can do.
Right.
So it could be, it's picking our 4 or 5 priorities, of all the things we think the library should do and all the things we can do, which 4 or 5 are going to be our focus for the next 3 years. So just,
Could we have a couple of dedicated meetings to it as opposed to having it part of the agenda?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
a dedicated meeting.
Right. So you could either,
That's a long discussion.
yes. Oh, you think
Even if a
just planning it?
No, even
Or
if a
when they
subcommittee, right, it's just, the evening could get long if that's just an agenda item. So you said meeting twice a month, maybe one of those meetings each month is a long-range planning meeting,
Yeah.
and that's all we discussed? I don't know, thought,
I mean, does it make sense to start with the subcommittee group, or do you want to just have a full board meeting? Because we've discovered that even if it's only 3 of you, it has to be posted, it has to be an open meeting, and you have to take minutes. So maybe we just have a
start it
regular
that way.
full board trustee
Yeah.
meeting, and if
Right.
you're not interested in the long range plan, don't come that night.
Right. But that is so much cleaner than having to have the 3 people report and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I like that.
So you're saying make a second meeting 1 month just for this?
Yeah, that would be
Long-range.
the agenda item.
Yeah.
How would we do it? How do we come up with goals as a large group?
Yeah.
You'd probably give recommendations of what you think they
Right.
might be.
Yeah.
But the meeting would be dedicated to that.
Yeah.
That would be the
Yeah,
only.
that's like what we were doing for a while. Remember
That's
when we were?
Right,
Yeah.
during COVID, we started meeting twice a month,
We could even do like everyone
so.
email me any ideas you have. I compile them into some form of, and then bring that Because it's good to start with something, right? To just sit down with a blank
Oh,
sheet
yeah.
of paper and say, what do we do? That's tough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I assume that our previous long-range goals are on the website. Are
I
they?
think they are. If they're not, I can send them back out.
Yeah,
We started a committee and we never got anywhere. It was me, Michelle, and Dan.
I can imagine why you didn't get anywhere.
So.
All right. So this is, I can share this.
Word was. We didn't get there.
So this is the library home website. I went to about and governing documents. And in there I have the long range plan. So we did it in 2021. And then we did an action plan for FY22. So this is what it looks like. You know, it's 25 pages long. It's so all this beginning, like the community description, the library description, talking about the facilities, I can write all that part. I really need the goals trustees to work on is the goals part. Let's go down to 23 to see what, and this is back when we did our new mission statement. That was all part of this. Gonna jump to 20. All right, so our goals last time around were provide community use space. I think we can check that one off.
Yep.
Lifelong learning, so that's something that you never finish, right? So we could say, you know, that ties into adult programs, book clubs, you know, resume workshops.
Can we do a library program for seniors?
Lifelong learning.
That's lifelong, you know?
Um,
I don't know. I guess they do adult program. They come to an adult program. So.
Recreational and cultural opportunities. So again, that's more, you know, programming, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize accessibility. I know if the previous trustees were here, they would say, no, you can't check that off because there's still lots of things you can do. And
Right.
I mean, I think we've solved the physical access.
Right,
You know, they were
right.
talking
It's still-
about
Sure.
things.
And there are other
Right,
things.
right.
But again, just if we no longer have accessibility as one of our primary goals, that doesn't mean we ignore it.
Right.
It just means
Yeah.
that we're focusing specifically on other things.
Yeah.
And then expanding use of the library. So those were the 5 goals. This was at the tail end of COVID, and we knew this building was being built, but we knew it was a couple of years out.
Yeah.
So
that makes
we
sense.
could keep, I mean, maybe lifelong learning stays as a priority. Maybe some other things come up.
We still want to expand utilization of the library plus community program. There are things that we still want to do. They
So-
just look different.
Yeah.
So the action plan changes sometimes because of it, right?
Right. Maybe your goals stay the same. Maybe we say, literacy now is going to be digital literacy is going to be our primary focus. I may throw that up as the goal. Maybe collaboration with other town groups, you know, RecCom, Council on Aging. Now that we're here, maybe we make that our goal.
Is this something that it's good to have the input of the other professionals in the library as well? We're going to have a whole new staff. You know, you have your goals for what you want to accomplish here. She's going to have her goals. Or
So my main response is no, because this isn't the goals of the staff weigh in on how to achieve these things.
Okay.
But this is policy level, trustee, what are the, you know, if we have to divide up our financial resources, which bucket gets the highest priority? So I think
And then you take these goals and they go downward.
Yeah.
For staff,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I mean, not to say we need to, I mean, you could definitely invite, surely Ann doesn't want to spend 2 hours in a planning meeting, but you could invite staff to say, hey, what do you guys think the goal should be? And, you know,
I wouldn't mind inviting them
Well,
because I think it's a good idea.
I think
to
clearly we've
give them the
got to
option.
find ways to collaborate with our partners here. You know, to collaborate with the senior center and the community center. I mean, that's really got to be one of our goals because we're here now. This is what we're doing.
so I think we'll throw things out there and, you know,
Yeah.
maybe we end up with 10 or 12 ideas.
Right.
And then the hard part is saying of those,
Whittle them down.
right? Because you like all of them, right? There's nothing on the list that you're going to say,
Right.
oh, that's a horrible idea. Why did we do that? Right? It's really a matter of saying, over the next couple of years, when we're making decisions like how do we allocate the budget or do we do a special article for this, you justify it by saying this is one of our primary goals. This is why we're, taking these actions.
I think also that staff people have a good sense of things that they like to accomplish in a place, sometimes better than we from the outside too. Now I know it's our job and it's a policy and that sort of thing, but sometimes we shouldn't want to give them goals that they like, I don't want to do this, or this is
Or this is why we can't do it, or shouldn't do
kind of thing, and why are they making me do that?
To some extent, but I mean, on the other hand, just because a staff person
They don't wanna do
likes
it,
it or
doesn't
wants to
mean-
do it, doesn't it mean
Right.
that it's our
Yeah.
library's top priority,
I just feel like we don't get enough input from them. I don't know, from the staff, but I mean, I guess these are open meetings, they can
Yeah.
attend, so I guess it's not really, we're not closing it to them, but.
I talk to Matthew all day long.
Yeah.
He knows, I'm talking to him all day long.
You don't need to do it again, right?
He knows something.
Sometimes the answer is, I know you don't want to do this, but you have to anyway. All right, so the timeline on this, this plan, it should be useful for us. It also gets submitted to the MBLC and it makes us eligible for certain sets of grants. So their timeline, if you want to be grant eligible, is you have to have your plan on file by October. So that's why I said, start talking about it now, get it done in August. So it sounds like we want to maybe just host an additional trustee meeting in end of July. And you want to do the fourth Monday in July?
Isn't that what we did the last time? We did second and fourth, when
Yeah.
we were doing 2 meetings. So that'd be the 26th. Because we're meeting up, I'm sorry, I'm in June, sorry.
I was gonna say
The 10th and the 24th, I guess, right? 10th and 24th.
Works for me.
So what I'll do is I'll send out a reminder email and say if anyone has ideas, because I think it would be good if just whether you think it's a silly idea or not, you think of something, send it to me and I can show up. I'll add a bunch of things to it and we'll show up with a list of things and then maybe we can narrow down which ones we think are
Right.
the most. And sometimes you can get, a couple ideas and say, well, these all sort of could be combined into this
To one.
one
Yeah,
goal.
okay.
All right,
All
good.
right, so we'll do that July 24th.
All right, I think I need to unshare and then reshare my other screen. So the last thing on the agenda and one that I was hoping to talk a little bit about tonight is programming. So we have talked about programming a lot and what we want to add to and what we can do and can't do. So we've been a month in this building now. We've tried a few of these outside presenters. We know what the regulations for use of this building are, and some of them might not be exactly what we hoped for. So what I did is, let me share this thing. I talked to Leanne about this a lot, I talked to Michaela, who's incoming, adult librarian, about it a lot. So I've sort of identified 4 of what I'm calling models for different types of programming. And not so much necessarily the topic or what it's about, but how they're presented, who organizes them, who pays for them, what how much library staff time does it take. And I think what I'd like to do is go through those 4 and then maybe talk about, is there a category or 2 that doesn't make sense for us to do? Is there a category that we really want to focus our effort on? Is there another way of doing programs we haven't thought about? So the 4 kind of big models that I've identified, the first is what I'm calling a staff program. And these are things that a library staff person does completely in scratch from in-house. We do all the organizing, we do all the planning, we do the implementation, we do the content, So this is story time, right? So Leanne does in-house story times. These are book groups. If we start doing technology classes, passports would fall into that, our ESL program. So these are always free for the attendees. They're often regular programs. We often try to have them on a monthly or weekly schedule. And I think it's important that they directly relate to the library's mission, information literacy, culture. So we wouldn't do like, maybe an art workshop, right? Because it's, story time, might be a craft involved, but that's directly literacy. So these obviously we're going to keep doing. It's always been kind of the core, and it's just a question of, well, how much that time do we devote to it? It's probably, I was going to say 50, but it might be higher. 50% of Leanne's job, it's probably going to be 50% of the adult program's job, a little less of mine.
Michaela talked about some crafting things she wanted to do.
Yeah.
So she might do a program that,
The crafting things that I know I do, I bring a lot of literacy into it. So even though
right.
the craft might be the focus, I always order in books from other libraries just to show what people can read about.
I think
find more information
It
on.
doesn't usually start with the story and then the craft comes out of it, or I guess once in a
I
while.
like that, but yeah, even our teen groups,
Yeah.
literacy is always in there. So
So the limits on these obviously is it takes a lot of that time, right? Because we're doing all of it. And I guess that's the big limit, is it takes a lot of time. Oh, and it's limited by the expertise of our staff, right? If you don't have someone on staff who can teach carpentry, you're not going to do a staff program about carpentry. So the second category, we do these quite a bit now. These are professional programs, I'm calling. So this is where a library staff person hires an outside presenter to come in and do the event. So the library staff person decides what the topic is going to be. They do the organizing, we do the registering, we do the reserving of the rooms, we do the publicity, and we just hire someone to come in and teach it. So this is Deb Hudgens doing music and movement. This is all the gardening programs, all the bird programs.
Is it your artist that your
Yep, the pastel painting, STEM programs that we could do, the theater group for the summer program. So we do quite a few of these. Again, we have always kept them free. We've never charged an admission fee for these. And funding either comes from the library budget or grant applications, friends of the library, that sort of thing. So those are two that we do and most libraries do. And then I've got two that are a little different or maybe a little new. One is, I'm calling it I think a guest program sounds nicer. This is something I'd like to work with the adult librarian to make a model for. I really want to write this as like a policy or an application. And what I'm looking for here is local people that just know how to do something and are excited to share.
We call this local talent.
Yeah, local talent, guest programs. This is somebody who, I'm a retired art and history professor. I know everything there is to know about Rembrandt. I can go and talk about it. Or, I raise chickens and I want to talk about it. Or, I'm a quilter.
That would get a lot of people.
Yeah.
Everybody's raising chickens.
And I think there's people like Upton has these people out there, right? Our community has this knowledge in it. We've got this beautiful space now that's actually nice to come in and do. And I'd like to sort of standardize a stipend for this. I think these people, most of them would probably volunteer. But I think it might be nice to have some sort of set standard stipend. Thinking $100 for an hour program, $50 for a half hour program, that would come from the library budget, our programming line item. And what I'm envisioning here is just like we have an application to use the display case, we have an application to be a guest presenter, just so we have a little bit of a process, and it's not completely informal. If we have some guidelines, if someone comes up to me and says, I know how to do,
Right.
henna tattoos, I'd love to show you how to do them. I say, great. We have a framework for this. You can go on here. This is what the library's responsibilities are. Reserve the room, help with setup. do publicity. The presenter's responsibilities are, show up, teach the thing.
Have materials maybe.
Right. And this is not, $100, so $100 for a program, these are not gonna be people who make their living doing this, right? Like
Right.
people like Rick Myachek, who goes to 100 libraries a year, he's charging way more than that. So this is gonna keep it, it's only gonna attract local people who are basically volunteering. And it's something.
What if you get 10 financial planners who want to each give a program?
Right, so that's why it would be like an application process through the library director, similar to the display, the art exhibits, where I can say, hey, we just had, we had someone who did landscape photography the last 2 months. Let's do something else for a little bit. And it gives us a little bit of control, so we can say no to the person who's like, I want to give a lecture on, why the Holocaust didn't happen, or, whatever. It gives us enough control that we can say, no, this is not really appropriate for this program.
You curate materials and everything that comes in. I think we have to be curating programming.
Right. So I'm hoping this is not something we've ever done before. It's something I'd have to set up with the adult librarian, and we'd have a process, and maybe we could get this kind of hoping for that September range, right? We've got a lot of stuff lined up for the summer. We can start talking about this and talking to people, and maybe we have people come in, and if it's one person a month, that's great. If it's more than that.
I can tell you some people, because I was going to be doing it for the Friends, and now I'm not sure what we are, so I can give you some leads of people who are already thinking they maybe want to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one step beyond just, because right now we just say, well, you can reserve the room and do your own thing, but we can't really help you.
Right. Yeah.
It gives people a little, and then the last category is what I'm calling paid programs. So these are things that people would probably want to do, but the expense is so high that we can't fully subsidize it, right? So I've, just in the last couple of months, I've had some people come to me and say, hey, I can teach a GED program. And I said, well, that sounds great. And they said, well, it's a 6-week program. I have to charge $250 per person. There's no way that our budget can make that cost free. And there may be, when it comes to paid things, we've always wanted library events to be free. We never wanted to exclude someone but they can't pay. But if the choice is between we don't do it at all, right, or we offer it for the people who are ready and willing to pay for it, we could.
Did that go against the policy for the?
So what we're running into, so I've had these people come to me, I had someone come and say, oh, I'd love to do an art workshop, but because of my cost of materials, I have to charge $50 a person,
Right.
Or it's something that isn't quite in the library's mission. I don't have the budget for it. I don't want it to be a library sponsored program.
Mhm.
So my hope was we could just tell these people, hey, do whatever you want. I'll help you reserve the room.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. You advertise it. You charge the person. We keep our hand out of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the selectmen, when they set the policies for this building, said no for-profit uses can take place here.
Trying hard to fight against it.
So
It's a new board.
we couldn't stay hands off and let these things just happen.
Right.
If we want them to happen, the only thing we could do is we could make it a library program where the library charges the participants. So, you would write your check to Town of Upton. We would run it through our revolving fund and we would pay the presenter. This is not unprecedented. This is how the RecCom operates. So when the RecCom does a yoga class, right, the people that sign up for the yoga class pay the RecCom, $6 per class or $10 per class, whatever it is. And then the RecCom pays the instructor. So it's not unprecedented. There's a framework for it in town. It's just different than what we've really done, and it's more involvement than I kind of wanted. I put down at the bottom here, we gotta, once you start taking money, then you gotta worry about, well, what if someone signs up and you haven't gotten their check yet? Do you let them in the program? Do you not? What if they can't make it? They want a refund? How does that work?
Yeah.
What if, if the presenter says, I can do this for 10 people at $100 a piece, and you're going to pay me $1,000, and I only have 5 people sign up?
Mhm.
Do we cancel the program?
Right.
Does the library take a $500 loss? Do I tell the presenter you're only getting $500 because only 5 people signed up? So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because of all these. I mean, I unfortunately, I think my recommendation would be I don't think. I know I don't want to get involved in this, but if the trustees said we really want these things to happen, and they could be great programs, they could be great uses of this community, center, and there's people in Upton that I'm sure would happily pay, $50 a class, or $250 for an SAT course, or
What do other libraries do?
I don't know. I have to reach out.
Yeah.
We could do some research
Probably than
Yeah.
and find out some things.
I think it's going to vary a lot. I know some of these people that came to me have done this, like at Taft Library. So I reached out to Andrew at Taft and I said, hey, what did you do? And he said, they do this mix of where they subsidize it by a few dollars per person, and then they charge the participants.
Well, I think we should do what Taft does. I mean, really.
Well, I mean, not to bash on Mendon and Andrew at all, but they don't always do things perfectly.
Well, only because the same school system. And,
Yeah, well,
You
they
know.
didn't run a library.
Yeah.
but it joined.
They weren't exactly
well, I know
I'm
they.
just teasing.
No, I know they did. But in all the intents and purposes, it is good to have your own town's library.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. However, you end up having sort of this mix, and it becomes this blend. So that when you're talking about SAT courses and things like that, I think we should do some research and find out, what does Grafton do, for instance? I know that they're a lot bigger than us and so forth, but I think we should do some research, really and truly, find out how people do this money thing.
Get a couple models maybe.
And find out what is the way that you handle it. Get all the nuts and bolts of it. Figure out how you go about this stuff. Hold off until the fall, certainly the fall, if not even the winter, and see what we can do. Because we are unique. We are connected to a community center. And so with that kind of opening, it's a community center that is opening up these classes and things for the people to come in to do these things.
Does the Council on Aging charge for things to be
Yes,
right? If lunch or whatever, barbecue or
they do. A lot of their stuff is just like a nominal fee. It's not intended to recoup the entire cost. Like they charge $2 for an exercise class, and it's really just to
obviously, right?
get a little
More than
buy-in.
that.
They're heavily sponsoring theirs. Subsidizing.
Well,
Yeah, it
after,
opens up a whole lot of.
after you do the research, could we go back to the Board of Selectmen and request, give them our scenarios? We do have a new selectman, as Lori pointed out. And now that the building is open and we've got usage statistics and whatnot, maybe we could make a case for charging for events for profit people.
One other thing is, okay, so number one, we kind of are doing it already, but we maybe would add, because we have a whole nother person coming on. Professional programs we've been doing, but we can be adding to it now that we have accessibility and that sort of thing in another person. The guest programs is a new area. So what I would say is, why don't we get really good at these while we research this and not even think about the fall? We may even go further and say, wait, wow,
winter.
because we're also going to have community groups using the space, like the Friends of the State Forest are going to want to use, the RecCom is going to want. There's going to be a lot going on, and I think I'm a great believer in building slowly and carefully and not jumping in too fast and blowing it. You know what I mean? So maybe that's something to think about.
Yeah, stick with these. We research this. We may go back to the select
If we've got a
committee
case.
and say, oops, can we go back now and rewrite that policy?
This is what this library does, that library does.
Yeah.
Give us
Right.
some
We've done our research
We're talking.
and now we realize that you do have to allow for some profiteering in these rooms.
Agree. However, some of the programs that charge money aren't profiting. It's like,
Yes,
Yeah.
they're recouping just.
just
Exactly.
like the GED program you just might be paying that person an hourly wage and the cost of the books. So you know what I'm saying?
They're not profiteering.
No, they're not like a.
It's not
it's-
just a plan who wants your business to.
That
Yeah,
is, so the
invest your
person
millions.
specifically came to the G, they want to make their living teaching these courses. It is absolutely a profit. making
Okay, then maybe I misunderstood, but okay. But you follow what I'm saying, though. Sometimes there might be another program that.
There's a program that somebody wants to do that we could get it for a pilot program, and I think there might not be a cost, and it's an ongoing series, kind of a little bit digital literacy thing. We could sometimes try things like that before we have to start paying also.
Mhm. I think that's what we should do, is do some research, do our real heavy duty research, look around, then perhaps go back to the select committee, find out what we can finagle there. Cause I think we may have to go back on our
Make better
policy.
changes.
No, it wasn't our policy, it was the select board that
Yeah.
had that policy.
But I mean, we did.
I think we didn't recommend.
We didn't recommend
profit
from-
programs,
Yeah.
but they certainly grabbed onto that and
and went with it.
went with it. So.
Yeah,
Really
it's really,
It's one of the places too, because I know tutoring and things like that is a big part of a lot of libraries and things.
Yes.
About that.
Yes,
So we have to think of
Yeah.
a different way to work around it.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
if we're gonna start getting involved with the finances, we're gonna have to get a different decision from them.
yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
They-
so I was really hoping that we could, we could offer this space to people and keep our hands out of it, right? Someone
Yeah.
wants to teach a
well, let's do the first
music
three
class.
then. Let's do the first three. Well,
They are.
Right.
definitely.
The only problem is, so when the GED person calls me back and says, hey, can I teach my course? I'm
We'll
gonna have to say no.
No,
Right,
right
not
now.
right
We'll
now.
have to say right now, our
Yeah.
policy is, it wasn't our decision totally. We're not prepared to go that route right now. Check back with us in 6 months.
And I'm not sure so that person goes from library to library to library, given this course, and that's how they make their living.
I don't know how much of it they're doing now, but that's certainly what they are hoping to do.
I would give it in the negative right now. I really would. And tell them, we're brand new, we're finding our way here. Check back with us in 6 months. Our select board has come down with some rules, and we're going to stick with them for right now. And we can't have the paid programming right now. We're not prepared for it. We don't have the system set up. We don't have the paperwork set up. We're not ready.
And we don't
for
have
it.
the authorization from the
Registrations,
select.
cancellations, I mean, those,
We just don't.
Maria goes bananas.
We
dealing
just
with
don't
those.
have.
And Granted, it's a summer camp,
I
but
keep forgetting you're on the record, so
Yeah.
about,
yeah.
You just email on the other side, and that's their model.
Yeah, we get the email. Can I change? I'd like to not register for this program or register for that program. And who's going to do
Yeah.
all that? You know,
Yeah.
we don't have the staff to
Yeah.
do that. So we don't even, I mean, she doesn't even have the time to do it, let alone, so
Ian, what do you do for the babysit course? Is there a fee attached to that?
That's on my list. That's the only thing we do that we charge participants
Yeah,
for.
and what does that cover?
It's $35 per person. It's the mostly materials. I can't imagine, the 4-H club that teaches that, they're not making oodles of revenue off of, $35.
We're just going to experience you.
A little bit of the time, yeah.
But
I think in 6 months, we'll have different eyes with this. I think we'll have a better idea.
Oh, I know. My kids took that.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, so
Yeah, so the way we do that is it's a library sponsored program, but the individuals write the check to the 4-H. The money doesn't go
okay.
through us.
Before that, it was.
I was gonna say, so are we following that policy?
Before that, their fees went way up, so we found this organization that charges very little.
And they're a nonprofit,
Right, right, she's a difference, yeah,
registered nonprofit, right? Your average person who teaches courses
right,
is not a registered.
Correct.
Yes.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think we have to step very carefully with this, to make sure we know what we're doing.
yeah, and I certainly am not, I don't want to get into this business of
I agree.
transferring money.
I totally
agree.
It may be something that sometime in the future is something that can happen. We might be able to get involved. There
I mean, it's
might be
possible.
paperwork that
It's
can
possible
happen.
you could partner with Recreation because they have a website where you can register for a program, pay with a credit card or whatever, and then, so you could maybe do it that way.
Right.
That's a possibility. Now, they have the
But
infrastructure
we see,
to handle it. So you could do it as a combined program partner.
see all kinds of things can happen
That
in
could help,
6 to 12 months when we know more information.
yeah.
But
Maybe
we're
this
not
goes into our long-term plan.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
One of our
Exactly.
goals.
exactly.
And it could be one of our goals.
Because, recreation department doesn't really have a building. They have
Right, but
Kiwanis.
we need a place and you
Yeah.
guys need an infrastructure to do it.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying, you might
There
be
you
able to
go.
partner with.
And that could be
departments.
in 6 months, we could do it. We're not gonna put it together in a couple of weeks.
Dom, it looks like you have something to say. No?
That's a lot of
No,
things
I'm
you
just
know.
looking at the clock.
Okay.
It's been 2.5 hours.
It's a lot of
Time.
meetings.
Yeah,
But,
do you need anything from us tonight, or is it?
No,
just
I
the
think-
That's just
beginning of
re-elected
discussion?
should have them.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good
that's a lot.
discussion, and I agree with everything you said. I'm certainly not interested in doing these paid programs, but because it was something people might be interested in, I wanted to bring it to the trustees. So we will focus our efforts on our staff programs, our professional programs. We'll try to add this guest local person program. That's the one.
if we can,
That's the one I'm excited about, and I'd like, Michaela as the adult librarian to spend a fair amount of time, getting that system up and running.
Mhm.
See how that goes, and then, we'll check back in.
Okay,
And we can be doing research in the meantime about what other, like, I know in Mendon, they had that tea thing. And so people were being sent packages of tea to, and then they go online, they do it together. Or they have
Oh,
a
of
cooking
course,
thing
yeah.
where people they get the recipes and they buy the materials, or I don't know, they get the food stuff.
and you do the rest.
And you do it together kind of thing. So those people must be getting some kind of, I know they're getting a fee.
Yeah, so those fall into those professional programs where, the
Right.
library's
Okay,
paying,
great, thank you.
the library's
That's what I-
paying $300 or
good,
$400.
good, good.
But just keep in mind, this is where trade-offs come in, right? If we want our stipend program to happen twice a month, that's $2,400 right out of our,
That's too much. Twice a month is too much.
why?
You're just gonna be very busy. And you have a library and many other things to do. That's a lot. A lot.
yeah.
Start small and build.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If we
If you're going.
put this program together
Right.
and put it out there, right? We are also committing financial resources. So now you're talking about cooking programs at $500 a shot.
Yeah.
Right? Our program's budget is limited.
Right,
And this is where prioritizing, right, is 5 stipend,
Right.
5 guests, local people, is that better than one key
Mhm.
program or not?
Hmm.
All right.
I'm just thinking about time, it's.
Well, we'll
Lot to put together.
Yeah.
revisit this.
Yeah, I would, once we have the model and the policy in place, I don't think the stipend program will be much more staff time than, right? Because if we pay someone $500 to do a cooking program, that's still 6, 7, 8 hours of staff time, right?
Right.
You don't get anyone for $300 anymore.
Sure.
500 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try getting a band for those concerts. The concerts at Kiwanis,
Okay.
prices going up.
Well, thank you for talking through that. And I will focus the adult librarian on the stipend program and the staff programs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any unanticipated topics? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Unanimous consent. 9:01, or that's my watch. I don't know.
And what did we say, July 10th?
July
July
10th.
10th.
Yeah. Is the next
Anybody
meeting.
get away? I don't know what you did. Did you have a key?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She didn't say why, but she told me, emailed over the weekend.
I will not be able to attend in July. I'll be in Germany. So I wish you all well and see you in August.
Zoom there.
It's only a 9-hour time. Am I right?
Yeah,
All right.
sorry. I'm not going to swing that one.
Do we want to do a remote meeting or a hybrid meeting or any? I mean, you can email me with your preference, but
I think we should always have a remote. Did that hurt you, have a remote?
no, I don't think so. It
Hybrid,
looks like it
whatever.
worked fine
Yeah.
tonight,
Do
right?
you like this, Matthew? Because you have to be here if we have
Oh, so
in
like-
person.
I mean, for my schedule, it's a little nicer to do fully remote, but this is fine one Monday a month. It's not.
Well, let's.
It's kind of nice.
Let's
A little
do
more
it.
discussion.
Well, in person, maybe, I don't know, once a quarter or twice a year, or maybe think about
Yeah.
it frequently, because really, you're right, getting together does foster a little more discussion.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
So, especially when we're doing the goals and, there's going to be a lot of discussion there. So, all right. So maybe we'll do a remote the next meeting,
Okay.
the 10th.
And then do hybrid on the 24th.
Right, because that's the goal, that's the goals
That makes sense,
discussion.
yeah.
So if we're all
Does that work for you,
here,
Matt?
or some of us are here, well. That makes sense? Is
Yes.
that doable
Yeah, I
on the 24th?
gotta check my schedule for the 24th, but it should be fine.
Okay. If not, we'll just do it remote and make it happen. Good, all right. We'll remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're adjourned until July 10th.
4th of July. Yeah, that's far enough out, I guess.
Bye, friends.
Bye, Doug. Bye,
Thank you.
Joe.
Thanks.
Bye,
Nice to see you.
Joe.
Bye.